Welcome to episode 112 of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Sunday night. Myself, Drew Skyberg, bringing you the news in the sports world, of course, right? And today we'll be talking, of course, the Wisconsin sports world, right? We'll be talking about the Milwaukee Brewers, right? Talk about them had a nice series win in Milwaukee against a tough Angels squad. And then, yes, we'll talk Milwaukee Bucks. We'll do the Bucks season recap today. Wanted to give you all, including myself, a few days after, of course, that loss, the series loss against the Miami Heat. We'll talk a little bit about it. I want to more focus on what's next, right? What's next for the Milwaukee Bucks after losing a series like that in 5 games, right? And just right. What's up? What are we looking at for like salary cap situations? What are we looking contract wise? Yeah, so it's gonna be it's unfortunate, but look at Chris Middleton. It's gonna be a situation for sure. Monitoring that. So we'll be monitoring that. But to start, we'll start with the Milwaukee Brewers. I think we'll talk about what happened this past week. Actually, let's get it over with. Let's go to the Bucks. Right, Bucks losing 5. Historic series for Jimmy Butler. Right, Marquette alum, highlighting that, but really just not a great series for the heavily favored Bucks. Stats say it was, I believe, the 4th or 5th highest playoff upset in terms of Vegas odds. Right, Bucks were the 4th or 5th most favored team ever to lose a playoff series. So just really tough, right? A really tough situation. And, especially that last game, it was like, okay, they're up 10-12. Back-to-back collapses were last Monday, last Wednesday. Right, 128, 126 was that loss on the last loss in OT. It was like, Bucks were up. It was like, okay, they're going to win this one, force a game 6. Very nice. I was feeling good still. Bucks were 11.5-point favorites coming into that one too, which was incredible. But just highlighting, right, it was a packed house at Fiserv. That game especially, just kind of revisiting how did it happen? Right, you can go to a few things. 28 from 45 from the line, only making like 2 or 3 field goals in the fourth quarter. All-time collapse there as well. Right? I mean, again, it starts with Giannis, 10 for 23 from the line. That's not going to win you games. I think otherwise he had 38 points, 20 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, the stats, but it's 7 turnovers, 4 fouls. Giannis in the last 3 minutes of ending quarters, right, whether it's the first or the fourth quarter, right, it's been a weakness. His efficiency numbers are down, right, turnovers are up. Makes sense, but when it comes down to having you want to put the ball in the hands of your best player, it's been tough for Giannis, at least against the Miami Heat. It was this whole series, which was not ideal. Middleton 10 for 24. It's going to be interesting what's going to go on with him. Right, he's going to be due $40 million. So, do you trade him? I think you trade. And I have the Chris Middleton is good shirt right behind me, but I think in a situation like this, right, he might have to go. I'm wondering suitors too. I'm wondering how you, with the salary wise, who eats up some of the salary. Questions on that. With Drew Holiday, right, we have 2 seasons left of him. I'm wondering with him looking, potentially retirement was the reports. 2 years after this contract ends, I think you keep Holiday rest of the way out, right? Or he retires or moves on for that contract. That's what I'm monitoring. Giannis, you keep, obviously, but there are still talks on what happens next, right? I mean, what's next for Giannis after that? I'm not buying into it. I believe Giannis is staying here for a while, right? I don't think people need to worry about that. I think that's getting overhyped in the media, especially. But right, Middleton. So let me explain the situation with Middleton's contract. specifically here. So 2023 to 2024, he's entitled to $40 million, age 32 year. So not sure. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2020. In 2024. Sorry, he has a player option, but he's gonna accept the player option. Be silly to not take the 40 mil for Middleton. Again, coming off. See, and it's tough. He was not. He was injured, right? Most of the year, he was just trying to get conditioned for the playoffs. It felt. So I want to highlight him specifically. Just right to the offseason stuff, but really, I mean, the vets are going to be the story. For this team, right? We know a head scratcher was right. Jay Crowder not playing a lot at all this series, right? He's getting some DNPs, coaches' decisions for like the first time in his career. A guy you get paid 5 seconds for, let alone. The question remains, why didn't he play a lot? He wasn't effective in those minutes he was out there. So to Mike Budenholzer's point, he wasn't playing really effective minutes. It still, it felt he had a spot out there against this Heat team, but at the same time, in the minutes he was out there, he didn't have a lot of success. It was kind of like I thought of him almost like Bryn Forbes. Go back to playoffs, obviously completely different players, right? But just the situation, right? Bryn Forbes had a spot against this Miami team, scored more points than Jimmy Butler in the whole series 2 years ago, right? In the year they make the finals run, but then doesn't see the court in like the rest of the series, right? With Boston didn't see it, with Brooklyn didn't see it. My apologies. Didn't see it, but I was like, okay. From there, and then against Atlanta, didn't really see the court much. So that was interesting, right? So I mean, I've been just trying to think like, why is that? And it's just matchups, right? It comes down to the players, the personnel on other teams, right? And this Miami's bench isn't exactly great. Right? I mean, they have some underrated guys, right? Like Caleb Martin played very well. Like a guy like Cody Zeller, it felt like nothing against Cody Zeller. It just felt like what the Bucks bring, defensively, offensively. Cody Zeller should have, shouldn't have shouldn't have even had minutes in this series, right? But played 10 minutes in Game 5, played decent enough all series. Really, I mean, kind of upsetting for the Bucks. You just look at this team on paper. It was like, okay, Haywood Highsmith, some guys who not many are familiar with, Duncan Robinson, who role players for Miami, but really came up big. Talk about Gabe Vincent. I think that was a story. A guy who was seen mostly as like a bench guard who really emerged, this season mostly as a guy who could be relevant, whether it was, in a playoff game like this, playing 41 minutes plus 15. But, they had guys who step up, is my point, right? They had guys who, you can't, at the end of the day, right? I mean, they shot well from 3 the whole series. They win game 1 against New York today, right? But, to not being the best offensively as they were against Milwaukee, I don't expect them to play as well as they did offensively in this whole series against New York. It's just the Bucks ran to an opponent who they should have beat, but what happened was, a team played very well throughout 5 games. I mean, Miami played some of their, like, just stats wise, they played some of their best basketball in this 5 game stretch than they did in all 81 games or 82 games, sorry, in the season, right, in the regular season. So when you have that combo, just a nightmare for Milwaukee. Mike Budenholzer, we talk coaching. His future with the team's uncertain. Really is not a great coaching series from him. Whether it was those timeouts in the game, right? Reports where Eric Spoelstra didn't know what he was doing with those timeouts and not calling them. Like, people are shocked, right? And including you and I who were watching the game were shocked. A lot of question marks on that, right? Why some of these personnel changes? Why is Giannis not guarding Butler? Why and why were there some, like, right when Jimmy Butler single-handedly beat them in game, what was that, game 4? Why was there not a change? Why was that the matchup? Why was Giannis not throwing at him? Why weren't we throwing different coverages at him? right? Those questions need to be asked. And again, our thoughts are with Mike Budenholzer, right, as he was dealing with, right, tragic death of his brother throughout the series is what we learned after the fact. And again, our thoughts are with Mike Budenholzer and his family, his loved ones, but just an unfortunate situation here for Milwaukee and what's going on here. So, end of the season recap, though. We still need to reflect on what this Bucks team did. We're not going to get into Giannis's post game comments about what defines failure and if you thought it was great or not, or if you thought, like with his legacy and such. I don't think that's a fair arguments right now. We just need to talk more, right, for the Bucks fans specifically, moving forward here, and then also just reflecting on this great regular season, 58-24. And it hurts, right, having this talented group of vets, and this is what this talented group of vets gets you when they were finals favorites. It's unfortunate. It is. I had them in my finals. Many did. All right, still a fun regular season. Think about if you went to games, all the great giveaways, right? There's some Giannis bobblehead, right? The dad joke bobblehead. There's some fun shirts and hats. Still a fun series or season cheering on the guys. Bobby Portis, of course. Strides from Marjan Beauchamp, right? The rookie. It's still a fun, great season. Still win 58 games. Right, see some of the new vets. Right, Joe Ingles' first season was good to see him out for second half. Grayson Allen will be back. Right, don't want to go through like the full Bucks season recap here, but I do just want to sum it up. Right, things happen, losses happen, unfortunate ones happen. I have a good feeling we're gonna have a good chunk of the team back next year. And who knows? This series could be really a wake up call for Mike Budenholzer and the Bucks, whether he's the coach next year or not. What we're looking at potentially is, who knows? I've seen that we've seen the Damian Lillard trades, of course. The Bucks got to make a splash and get a guy, right? Anthony Edwards highlights the Milwaukee Bucks all like he has. They got to get a scorer. Lillard would be awesome, right? It's not that I feel like Holiday needs to transition to like not a point guard role, right? He's excellent passing, excellent handling the ball, but he's not like that. He's not that outside scorer, as a point guard where you just feel like Damian Lillard, for example. You give him the ball, he's a shot creator, right? Right, he'll create shots for himself or others, right? I feel like Holiday does a great job creating shots for others, but with his shot making for himself, whether it's on the perimeter or whatnot, it's especially in the playoffs, it's felt not as great as it once was. So, and of course, defensively, Drew Holiday is still toughest defensive player in the NBA, no question. As a guard, right? I mean, savvy vet. I think what Holiday's done as a defensive player still is underrated, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Athletic, polled other NBA players, and Holiday came up as the most underrated player. So, right, point proven. Among his peers, he's being recognized. So I think that's takeaway moving forward. Middleton, I think Middleton's the biggest question mark. The bench with vets is going to be new, right? But for the most part, we're going to see the starters are going to stay the same, barring a change with Middleton and whoever he'd get traded for. But I imagine Holiday, Allen, Antetokounmpo, Lopez for sure. For Bobby Portis still will be among in the rotation. Pat Connaughton will be still among the rotation. Wondering about guys like Ingles, Matthews, Crowder. Of course, those are the question marks. Really on this team. Will Beauchamp make a leap here? That's what we're hoping for. That's gonna wrap it up for the Bucks recap. I don't want to go too much further right now while we were still waiting on the rest of the playoffs to go, rest of the offseason. Charles Lee, one of Mike Budenholzer's top assistants, could potentially be the coach in Detroit, right? So there's still some things we need to monitor, right? We're waiting on things, is all I'm saying. Let's discuss now more about the Milwaukee Brewers, right? I talked about they win this series in against Los Angeles in Milwaukee. I was at the game today, so I don't know why I keep trying to say it was in LA. So going through this week though, I had the Brewers going 4-2. They go 3-3. I'm off a game. I had them 4-2 last week. I got it right. This week I get it wrong by a game. How did that happen? I mean, it really ended up being a tough Monday, tough Tuesday against Detroit. And what happened was the offense was the offense didn't have a good week. I mean, you look, they had 7 runs on Saturday, but and 6 runs Wednesday, but really it was 2 runs Monday, 3 runs Tuesday, 2 runs Friday, 0 runs on Sunday. So inconsistencies in the offense and left-handed pitching, right? We talked was a struggle with this Milwaukee Brewers team. They get 7 runs Saturday, but they get shut out Sunday. Majority of lefties. Jose Suarez, a guy with a 10+ ERA, comes in, pitches a gem. Matt Moore comes out of the pen. Just struggling against left-handed hitting has been a story. Otherwise, if we go back last Monday, we talk kind of what happened. It was right those 3-run innings, 3-run home runs. Were the issues. 2 3-run home runs in both games. That's all Detroit really needed. Colin Ray, credit him. 2 starts this week. Sets his career record for his single game record for strikeouts on Sunday. Pitched very well to Colin Ray. It was for Ray, right? It's not this blowaway velo. It's that spin rate along with deceptiveness and right the changeup, the curveball, and then the fastball, right? Being able to just keep guys off guard. That's how right Mike Trout has a hat trick today. And tough to do, but what Ray was able to do, just keeping him off guard, was really powerful in this one, at least in Sunday. I'm not trying to work too far ahead of myself. I did want to also highlight, right? 3-run home runs were Monday, Tuesday. You get the win 6-2 on Wednesday. Then 2-1 Friday, 7-5 Saturday. Let's talk more takeaways. Craig Counsell, Willy Adames get tossed on Saturday. I had friends at the game, got the scoop, got the video. Of course, I was watching the game, so I was watching, but it was good to see from their perspective what happened. Right? I mean, it was frustrating, it really was, because what we saw was, pace of play rules come in. Adames steps out, tries to call time, does not get granted time. Okay, fine, he doesn't get granted time. So the pitch is allowed, clearly high, called a strike regardless. And then, right, gets the time strike then for arguing. Counsell gets tossed there and then strikes out swinging. Then 2 pitches, maybe a pitch later. Then Adames goes. A disaster for home plate umpire Adam Beck, right? Strike zone was a tough night. Saturday in general is actually one of the worst days for umpires since 2021 in terms of correct called strike percentage. So when you look at things like that, that's when we see, issues, right? Collectively with umpires, new pace of play rules, issues officiating that. Right. And Corbin Burns pitches well Saturday. What was working for him was only 5 strikeouts, but the cutter was really working. Right, fastball also. Burns looked right. We're hoping for the strikeout numbers to go back up, which for Burns, it's like, okay, 5 strikeouts, 6 in 6 innings isn't actually like Corbin Burns-esque. We're thinking like 8 or 9 strikeouts, like over a strikeout per inning, but still a very good job for the Brewers there, winning that series against the Angels. I was being at the game Sunday. I just want to try to put the Shohei Ohtani experience in perspective. Right, he wasn't pitching, but he's DH today. Okay, at bat number 1. I'm sitting on the the first base side. What happens is, right, foul ball, Shohei Ohtani. Okay, he hits this foul ball, right off the bat. It was absolute screamer. I looked at it and I was like, okay, this might be. I'm thinking for sure 110, right, on this foul ball, like 110 miles per hour off the bat. I'm like, this thing was just hit. Like, it was hit hard. So I look up and I'm like, my jaw drops. I look over at my dad. I'm like, he just hit it 118 off the bat. 118 miles per hour off the bat. Did Shohei Ohtani off? It was a foul ball. Not many people talked about it. Even on Twitter, right? Statcast. I don't know what they reported it as, but it was incredible. I was shocked. Like, I've never heard or seen a ball hit that hard in my life. Right? I've never been in person to see something like that. So it was really cool to see. And then Shohei Ohtani's home run, 114 miles per hour off the bat, a 39-degree launch angle. I again, a 45 degree, if you think right, the 90-degree angle, 45 is right split in half there on that direct angle. He hit a 39-degree. So to put that in perspective, just think about the home run, that like how high that ball went. It almost hit the dome in American Family Field. But when he hit it that high, he also hit it at 114 miles per hour. I mean, it carried out. I didn't think it was a home run. Like off the bat, I was like, okay, he hit it to the deepest part of the park. That's going to get caught. Sure enough, it makes it out, right? Shohei Ohtani hits a 114-mile-per-hour home run. And, I couldn't believe it. Was shocked to see that. And, they win today. Thankfully, Ohtani didn't pitch against the Brewers this series. That was going to be like you got to be there for that, right? For sure. Otherwise, the weekend, today's game was tough. Only like 3 hits, 2 hits, 3 hits, I think. Defensively, wasn't like a terrible game today. I thought the whole series, like this Brewers team is a lot better defensively than I thought. And it starts in center field, right? Joey Weimer's range now. I mean, Garrett Mitchell not being there is sad, right? Really, really rooting for that man, hoping he's comes back soon. Weimer out in center, his range is incredible. Yelich made some great diving play. Yelich is playing his best defensive season, I think, since 2018. Throw 2019 even out the way. I think 2018. I think what he's done, in terms of range, right? The arm still has. I don't think the arm's ever going to be there as it once was. But with Yelich, the amount of range he's covering in left, it's really been an asset for this team. Then also, right? I mean, of course, Contreras behind the plate being one of the best framers because the Brewers have this awesome history of framing catchers, improving their framing skills. That's been exciting. I don't know, I've been very pleased. We do have some trades to report, right? First off, Javi Guerra, right, reliever, goes from Brewers to Tampa Bay for a player to be named later or cash considerations. And also the Milwaukee Brewers then, before the game today, get Trevor McGill, not Tyler McGill, who's on the Mets. They get Trevor McGill, who is, again, on the Minnesota Twins, now a Milwaukee Brewer, in exchange for a player to be named later or cash considerations. Let's talk, right, about what Trevor McGill brings to the table for this team. Really, I mean, so far this, in 2022, I can give you. We're looking at ERA wasn't that good. xERA of 4.91. But what we're looking at, why do you think the Brewers got this guy? Right? Fastball velocity, 97%, 97th percentile. Fastball spin, 93rd percentile. Curve spin, 85th percentile. So when you have this kind of combination for, a pitcher of like, right, kind of consider middle relief, that's going to be powerful, right? I mean, the Brewers believe they can work with, right, a fastball spin in the 93rd percentile and a curve spin in 85th percentile. It's just about getting, right, the accuracy there, some walks issues, and then also just like, right, the location. I've talked. He's gotten rocked, I mean, the last 2 years. It's not like this guy's going to come in and be an ace, right? But we're looking at four-seam curveball slider in the repertoire, so pretty basic. He was throwing a sinker a little bit, is what I'm seeing. But in terms like of his profile, looking for some comparisons, right? Baseball Savant, shout him out in the DFS series. Right, just looking at some movement stuff. Compared to like Logan Gilbert, I guess that's kind of comparable. But again, Gilbert's a starter. We're looking more at as a middle relief kind of guy for McGill. I'm optimistic. I like the move, right? Baseball Savant tells us kind of what the Brewers were looking at in this move. And, I trust the Brewers pitching development. So I'm looking at that. I had 2 more thoughts, I wanted to talk about, right, how when Counsell got ejected and was like, seeing Pat Murphy manage this year, considering Counsell's contract runs up at the end of this year, not trying to talk things into existence. I want Craig Counsell to come back, but having one of his sons is going to be in college, playing college ball, it brings the question, will he be back, right? And you can totally 110% respect his decision walking away, being the greatest manager in Brewers franchise history. To, again, right, his family, having a kid playing college, gotta be there and supporting. Pat Murphy's got to be a guy who's got to at least get, first dibs at the job, right? I think what Pat Murphy's done, being one of Council's coaches in the past, incredible stuff. So moderating that. Okay, let's talk the schedule this week. 6 games, one off day tomorrow, May 1st. So Brewer Prediction Challenge will be posting more on Tuesday. I want to keep it, fresh in the mind then. So it's 7:40 Tuesday Central, 7:40 Wednesday, and then 2:10 on Thursday. And then we go out, right? I mean, we're in Colorado. We go officially out west. Friday first pitch, 9:15 p.m. Brewers After Dark. Here we go. 6:15 p.m. on Saturday, and then 3:05 on Sunday. So all these times are in Central, but what I want to highlight is the following: is 3:05 Central on Sunday. That game's gonna get done, probably like 5:30, 6 o'clock Central, and it's really gonna be 4 o'clock West. But Brewers got to come all the way back out here. Then they got to come back to Milwaukee. They had a game Monday, 6:40 p.m. against the Dodgers. So pretty quick turnaround, lots of travel there. This doesn't work well. Like, the schedule's not ideal. They do get an off day on a Thursday, though, not to get ahead of myself, but 6 games this week, West Coast trip at Coors Field. The Mexico City trip this year, I loved it. I love when they go to high altitude places. I love it so much. So Brewers go to Colorado. I'm all in. They face a Giants team. West Coast trip. What are we thinking? I'm thinking 3-3. Not to look too much into it, but right, the Giants have done well against the Brewers recently. I do think the Brewers take the 2 out of 3 in Colorado. But I do think a slip up potentially this, with a tougher schedule coming up, and also playing 9 straight games. I think that's going to impact how Craig Counsell manages some of these games. Also looks like, right, Colin Ray started again, did well. I'm hoping that continues, but I think we're going to have Burns maybe on Thursday. Hopefully we get Burns on Friday against San Francisco, but more worried about those matchups later in the week. I'm feeling good about the middle rotation here coming up, but you see what I'm saying? Also kind of worried about pitching in Colorado, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, looking like a tough series for the Brewers against the Giants. Again, 3-3 is the record prediction this week. And before we go, right, because that's main stuff we're talking here, we got to make some of course, the announcements. Journey to a Million. It's going to be tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central. Yes, moving around the time this week. It's a busy time of the year for all 3 of us. So we'll be moving to 10 a.m. Central just for this week. Tomorrow, we'll be previewing the NFL draft. Or previewing, it's all over. We're going to recap the NFL draft. We got some fun games planned. Hence, one of the games involves the NFL futures. We'll be talking about that. Fantasy football landing spots, best drafts, worst drafts. We're grading some drafts. Very fun. Talk about how good our mock drafts were. Predicted actually a Packers pick or 2 on that. Otherwise, later this week, hoping on Friday again, we're going to preview some baseball. Preview the slate. Win the slate. Right? And we're going to just enjoy that. Right? We're going to thank Point Brewery for bringing in some root beer, as always. But that's the schedule this week, right? And also, of course, those power rankings, all the content is going to be out, right, on at True Sports Crew, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You'll find it all there. And also on YouTube, right? YouTube Shorts. You'll find all the content at True Sports Crew again. And that's going to wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Sunday night. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.